let me say good morning to everyone. Today is Monday, April 12th, and welcome to Motivation Monday. I am trainer Lisa McCrary, and as always, I am so very happy that you guys are here with me today. I hope that everyone is doing well and also living their best life these days. I know the weather is getting much better out there, so we're able to go out a little bit and enjoy some of the sunshine. I hope your weekend also was nice this past weekend. So, with that said, let's go ahead and jump right into why we are here today and review our Monday morning topics. As always, we are going to start today's meeting with our quote for the week. This week quote comes from the Greek philosopher and scientist Aristotle. And in his quote, what he says, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, it is but an habit. I particularly like this quote because it speaks true to how excellence is built. If we want to become good at something, we must discipline ourselves to repeat that behavior so that we can become excellent at performing that behavior. I will tell you guys a little bit about myself. During my career, I was repeatedly told that I was an excellent person at handling objections. And because of that, I also was known for having a high close rate. Well, I tell you that little small story because I want you guys to know that that did not happen overnight. I made thousands of calls and I received countless rejection before becoming a good closer. And some days I would get defeated and other days I would keep on trucking. But the gist of it is that I never gave up because I believe that if I continue to do the right behaviors, I would get better and I would increase my close ratio. And that is exactly what I did. One thing that I did do during that time is that with every call, I made sure that I had a solid script that sometimes I had to tweak depending on the conversations that I had. But I also kept a journal of all of my objections so that I can learn from those objections and go back and see what did I say, what did I not say, and how can I get better at handling those objections. Well, by repeatedly doing these actions, it made me really, really good at closing business and handling those suggestions. So I tell that little story to you because I want to remind everyone that consistent practice of quality behaviors will help you retain the knowledge. If I can talk this morning, it is Monday. So whenever it's Monday, I'm always like my tongue don't want to work. My brain is firing a little slower. So please forgive me, guys. But I do have a really good message that I want to share here with you. But just like I said, I want to remind you that when we consistently do good behaviors, that is going to help us retain knowledge for what it is we're trying to do, we ultimately are going to create those great habits that's going to help us also close more business. So, with that said, guys, welcome again to Motivational Monday. And as always, I am so happy to have my friends here with me today. Just as we do every single week, we're going to review the tips for the week, and then we're going to go straight into our reward and recognition, where we're going to review some of our top carriers that were sold last week, as well as some of our top agents. And last but not least, we're going to review our sales topic for the week, which is simple steps to building your brand. I thought this is very important because as we are agents with our own businesses, we really need to create a personal brand as well as a business brand that's going to say who we are. And we're going to go over those things this morning. So But let's first start off with our tip for the week. So, this week is going to revolve around compliance. And everybody, please don't go, compliance, because most times compliance is not something that is very popular, but it is very important. That is required for us to understand and know how to make sure that we're adhering to the laws of compliance, especially when it comes to TCPA. And today we're going to talk about what is TCPA and what does TCPA stand for. And that's going to be our tip for the week. So, when we talk about TCPA, TPCA stands for the Telephone Consumer Protection Act. This act was enacted in 1991, and what it is a set of laws and regulations developed to protect customers' privacy and reduce abusive telecommunication behavior. Now, the Telephone Consumer Protection Act offers a guide to business owners so that we can know how to contact our customers using telecommunications. And those telecommunications include telephones, faxes, text messages, auto dialing, those robocalls. But it also spells out what are the consequences when we do not follow these laws. Now, here are some of the main TPCA requirements that we as business owners must know and follow. And I do want to stress these are some of the main, because if I gave them all to you, we will be here all day. So please note this is just a snapshot, but I will give you guys toward the end of this presentation the where you can find the complete list of the rules that governs this particular law. So no worries, I have you there and you'll be good to go with where to find more information. But the first rule that I want to review with you that is pretty important, that I believe it or not, I get a lot of questions about this from agents. When can I call my agents? And do I use my time zone, or do I use the time zone that I'm calling? Well, the answer to that is when you are making your phone calls to residencies, you want to make sure that you're not calling before 8 a.m. in the morning or after 9 p.m. in the evening or that night, and you want to make sure that you are in their time zone and not in your time zone. If you are making calls outside of these hours, you are in violation and subject to penalty. The other thing is to make sure that you are not calling anyone that is on the do not call registry. Now, some people have asked me, so where do I find this registry? And hopefully, most of you are getting lists where they're scrubbed and you know that they've gone through and made sure that none of the people that you are calling on the do not call registry. But if for any reason you are in question, if someone is on the do not call list and you don't want to put yourself in jeopardy, you can always go to donotcall.gov, or you can call the 188 number that is provided there, and you can find out if the number that you're trying to dial is in fact on or off the do not call list. Now, one thing that I do want to stress along with this is that if you are talking to a client and a client asked to be put on the do not call list, now it is their responsibility to be put on the do not call list, but you can provide them this information and let them know that they can go to donotcall.com so that they can get added to that list. And then from your standpoint, just make sure you are removing them from your call list and you are not calling them in the future, because that would not be a good thing. The next thing is do not deliver artificial voice calls or recordings to residents without prior express consent. And that's pretty much clear state. There's nothing more I can say about that. It is what it is. We just don't want to do that without our prospects' prior consent. The other thing is that we do not want to use automated telephone equipment, recordings, or simulated voices to make calls to landlines, mobile phone numbers, or other telecommunication devices for which the recipient is charged for the call. So if they're paying for their phone line, you definitely should not be calling them if they are if you're using those automated telephone equipments. And I'm not a big fan of those. I'm not trying to deter anyone, but it's just not something that I'm a big fan of. This list does include, or this rule does include, um, hospital facilities as well as healthcare facilities as well as elderly rooms. So I wanted to spell that out to you because a lot of times people think it's just resident homes, but the law does extend out to healthcare facilities and elderly rooms. Now, solicitors are also required, and you are the solicitor. You also are required to provide your name, the name of the person or the entity on which behalf you are calling, as well as your telephone number or your address at which that person or entity may be contacted. So basically, what that is saying is what you guys do every single day. Just make sure you continue to do it. When you're calling, you want to identify yourself. Hi, I'm Lisa. I'm calling from XYZ Company. And if you need to get back to me, my telephone number is blah, 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 blah. So you just want to make sure you're including all of that information in when you're talking to your clients and including when you're leaving your voicemails as well. Now, I don't know too many people that are still using faxes, but maybe there are a few. Since I've been working from home, I don't get to see what people are doing as much anymore. But I don't know about you, but years ago, and I'm dating myself a little bit, but I used to get so many advertisements via the fax. I mean, it really was a nuisance. Well, that is prohibited now. You are not allowed to solicit advertising through faxes. So if you're thinking about doing that, don't do that. And then when it comes to the violations associated with not following these laws, if you unintentionally not follow the TCPA requirements, you are still subject to a fine. And that fine is up to $500 per violations. And there is no cap to that. In addition to that, if you willingly violate the TCPA, penalties may be up to three times the damages. So you're taking that $500 and you're multiplying it by three, and that's per violation. And once again, there is no cap to that. Now, like I said, these are some of the rules that really are popular that people have asked me about. So I wanted to make sure I talked about those. And I only have so much time to talk, so I couldn't go through the complete list. But bam, here you go. All you need to do is go to the fcc.gov website, and I provided you two different sites here that you can go to. You have the Telephone Consumer Protection Act that is available under that first link that you see there. And then you can actually get a copy of the small entity compliance guide. And these are all the rules and regulations. I want to say it's about 10 pages long. So it's one of those detailed things that you can read. Probably don't want to read it when you're sleepy and ready to go to bed because it's that type of dry material that will definitely put you to sleep. So you might not want to do that, but I'm leaving it there just for a second. So if you want to take a snapshot of that, you can, just in case you want to go out there and take a look at it. Now let's move on to my favorite part. And I always love the sales and shout outs because I'm always eager to see what is selling and who is doing the selling. So this is for the week of April 5th. And it looks like when it comes to short term medical, UHC Golden Rule did lead the way, but I must admit it was only by a couple of $100 in premium because National General was right on their tail. So it was really, it could have been even because they were just that close. Limited Med, Nat Gen led the way, as well as with accidental insurance. Critical illness, we had United HC Golden Rule, they led the way there. And then dental, National General, that continues to be one of our more popular dental plans that are out there that people tend to like and are selling a lot of. Now, for all of you guys, we want to see who's out there doing the selling when it comes to short term medical. We have Max, Gustavo, and Katia. They led the way in short-term medical sales, and they really piled on the numbers too. They did very, very well. Limited Med, we have Katia again, and then Jonathan Donato. He also did very well in selling Limited Med products. And then with our accident products, we had Blake Bowman and Brad Hardley. And those are some new names here on the board. And I believe Jonathan is a new name as well. So I want to congratulate those who are consistent with their sales and are on the board week after week. But I also want to especially congratulate those folks that are new to the board because we're always excited to see people that are growing their business and getting recognized. So, congratulations for that. Now let's turn to our topic for the week. We're going to talk about this week simple steps to building your brand. All right, an important thing, your brand is who you are. Usually, the first question that usually comes up to mind when talking about building your brand for your business is what do I do and really where do I start? That's what I hear the most. A good place to start is developing your brand position and promise. Both your position and your promise can say a lot about what you do and how you do it in a few simple words. You want something that speaks ideally to the customer that you are targeting. And we're going to talk a little bit about that in a little bit. Your brand position should also differentiate you from your competitors. So, how do you do that? You want to ask yourself, why should your customer base choose you to do business with? Ask yourself that. What makes you and your business so special? Now, whatever your answers are to those questions, you're going to use that in your position statement or your slogan. And your position statement is just basically saying, why should someone do business with you? What makes you so special that they want? And we all know that you guys are all special. They just don't know you're special. So we want to make sure that we are able to effectively communicate that. Then what you want to do is determine what is your brand promise? What are you promising your customers? What's in it for them? Everybody wants to know that. I know when I go shopping, that's what I want to do. What can you offer with your services? And all of you are special. All of you have your own personal talents and what you do. You just got to tune in and horn in to what that is. And then once again, what can you promise your customer when it comes to service? As a customer, like I said, one thing I look for whenever I am shopping, especially for service such as health insurance, is what you can do for me. How are you going to help me and what make you different? So those are two things that you really want to try to establish, and you want to write this stuff down. You don't want to commit it to memory because you're actually building your brand and you're going to be using that information in your literature that you're putting together, in your flyers, on your websites, things like that. But you got to brainstorm those type of things, your promise and your position in order to get that information together. So really, put simple, your brand is what your prospects thinks of you when he or she hears your name. It's everything the public thinks and they know about you, and what you do and who you are. So that is what you're trying to create, and that is what you're trying to put together when you're establishing your position as well as your promise. Now, the next thing I'm going to say is be unique. Now, this is perhaps this is probably easier said than done, but it is the truth. In order to attract more of our customers, you have to set yourself apart from your competition. And there are a lot of agents out there, but you can set yourself apart because this is the beauty thing. There's only one you. There's only one you out there. So you have the ability to set yourself apart, but you really have to do some self-discovery of who you are. You also have to be genuine enough to provoke wonder, curiosity, and even maybe a little shock at what it is that you can do, especially when considering your name. So when you're trying to develop your name, you want to give that warm and fuzzy feeling. You want to seem genuine. You want to provoke some kind of curiosity or wonder. You want to do those things in order to make sure people are interested and want to click on your website to see what you got going on. So, for example, when creating your business name, you should be unique, but you should also be simple. So, really avoid using those hard to spell names. I wouldn't say do that because nobody's going to be able to find you if you do that. And it can become very confusing when people are trying to even refer you. Some people like to use their name when creating their business name within their name. So if my last name was Zimmerman, it might be the Zimmerman Insurance Agency. And that can be unique because what you're going to do is you're going to check out the Secretary of State site to see what names are currently out there so that you can see how much competition you have and maybe what line of business that they're in. Another way in picking your name is maybe use acronyms, and that's a really popular way. So, say if you want to say safe insurance and you use safe S dot A dot F dot E dot, and the SAFE all stands for something, and then you're going with safe insurance. That's another unique way that you can create your name. Really use a name that you think is meaningful to you and that you think will target the audience that you're looking for. Once you, like I said, once you have that name, make sure you Google it. You also go onto the Secretary of State site and you check that out to see whether or not your name is a frequent name. Now that could not be a terrible thing because maybe safe insurance could be for something totally different than what you do, but that's totally up to you. But you do want to see and you want to research what's out there. The next thing you want to do is define your ideal customer and who is your targeted audience. Now, this to me is one of the most important things. Besides the brand position and promise, I think that that's pretty important because that's how you're going to tell people who you are and what you do. But then you want to determine who your client and your targeted audience is. Now, most time when I ask a business owner, who is your targeted audience? They always tell me, everyone. Everyone is my targeted audience. I want to talk to everyone. I want to do business with everyone. That is my targeted audience. Well, that I understand that and I love that go-getter attitude. However, that can be a little dangerous when you're talking about branding your business. This is especially true for when you're starting off because when you're starting off, usually you're specializing in something. You might be specializing in Medicare. That is your thing. You might be specializing in the under 65 market. That is your thing. So your target audience is going to look totally different if you specialize in Medicare versus if you specialize in the under 65. Now, some people will say, well, why don't I just specialize in both? Well, something that I learned a long time ago, when you try to do everything, sometimes you accomplish nothing. Or if you try to do everything, sometimes you just become a generalist and you never become excellent, like we were talking earlier, or that expert in the business. So my suggestion is when you're looking at your targeted audience, you need to also think about who do you want to become an expert at selling to when you're helping your customers. So when you're doing this, and this is not including the supplemental products, because supplemental products, whether you're Medicare or whether you're short-term medical under 65, you're going to still concentrate on those supplement products. So that's just a given. I shouldn't have to say that, but I'm just going to say it because it's something that we should all be doing. Now, what you want to do when you're determining your targeted audience, you want to find out a little bit about them. You want to get a little nosy. You want to find out where they shop, what are their hobbies, where do they live, what are some of their needs, and what are some of their greatest concerns. Now, if you can answer these questions, you're on the right path. You're doing really good because the answers that you get will help you build your content around your targeted audience. You will build the content based on what their needs are, what their wants are, and what their pains are. And how great is that when I'm looking up to find someone to help me with my insurance and they speak to me. Their ad speaks to me. Their web page speaks to me. Their Twitter account speaks to me. That's all very important and that's all branding. You're definitely trying to target in on the people that you definitely want to, or on the type of customers, I should say, that you definitely want to target. Now, it doesn't mean you have to stay there forever because this is a growing business. You can, if you start under 65, you can always add on later Medicare once you're ready to get to that stage. But I think it needs to be gradual, not necessarily everything all at once. The next thing is let your customer become your brand ambassador. So, what does Lisa mean by brand ambassador? So, customers should really be viewed something more than just buyers. You really ought to think of your customers as brand ambassadors because each one of them, they really are the ones that are walking as representatives to your brand. You have sold to them. Those are the people who know what you do, how you do it, and how well you do it. So they are your brand ambassadors. Therefore, what you want to do is establish a friendly rapport. That's absolutely essential, as well as keeping them happy and satisfied. So that means after you make that sale, you don't just cut them off. You stay in contact with them because you want to have a very good rapport with them. You want them to stay customers with you for a long time. And remember, a good word of mouth referral or a good word of mouth reputation will do wonders in building your brand. So your customers themselves help to establish your brand. And we're going to talk a little bit more about with once they're building your brand, how they actually can help you. So on the next slide, we're going to talk a little bit about that. That's just a sneak peek. The next thing I want to say is do everything with quality. Now, this once again is one of those things that should be just given, should be just, we all know to do everything with quality, but quality is a relative term. So I want to talk a little bit about that. because it can be what you consider quality can be different than what I consider quality to be. The key to building an outstanding brand using quality is really a non-negotiable when you're talking about building your brand. You must be genuine, must be transparent, and those two things should be a staple in what you do in your business. Avoid being pushy because you guys know everybody don't like pushy people, and take time to educate your clients. Now what this is going to do, avoid being pushy and taking time to educate your clients. This is going to help put your clients at ease and make them feel empowered. And we know already how confusing insurance can be, but if you do things with quality and you have your clients that understand what it is that you're taking time to educate them, you're not being quick, you're not being pushy, you're being transparent, you're being genuine, that's going to create those ambassadors. The other thing that I want you to keep in mind is that whatever product or carrier you are using, you should always stand behind your product with pride. Now, sometimes things go wrong, but when you get into the habit, and I say this because I heard it, when you get into the habit of bad mouthing carriers or other agencies or agents, that never looks good for your brand, that never looks good for you. So if you find yourself doing it, stop it immediately because it's not helping your brand. It's not helping the character that you are trying to establish for your brand. Now, what you should be doing is really wowing people with your excellence and positivity, and they will keep coming back for more. They will tell other people about you. And I wish I can talk better this morning, but I hope you guys are getting me. I think you are, but I keep stumbling a little bit, so I apologize for that. But they will become those ambassadors that you absolutely need. The next thing we're going to talk about is creating a brand logo. Okay. By designing a logo that is eye-catching and represents your business, and you got to take some time to do this. You might have to hire somebody to help you with this, but that's okay. Once it's done, it is a beautiful thing, and I'm going to show you how. But design a logo that is eye-catching and represents your business. This will help set you apart from your competition. Your logo instantly tells the world about your company's culture and value, as well as create brand recognition for your business. Think about some of the most common social media icon logos that are out there. This one here I can think of quite well. Without needing to say a single word, you instantly know who the company is and what they do. Instagram, this is just a camera logo. And this camera logo speaks to Instagram, and everybody automatically knows Instagram. When you're ready to have a nice cup of coffee, you look for this green symbol here, and you are pulling in that parking lot along with 20 other cars because they're always crowded to get your morning Java. And then Amazon. Amazon is another one that has really established themselves without any words whatsoever. But when you see that, you know that it's an Amazon package. So, really, a catchy mascot or symbol for your business can immediately draw great attention to your brand. Now, what I'm going to say is use this logo on your webpage, on business cards, put it on your email communications, any stationery that you might need. And here's another great idea for establishing your brand and marketing your brand. Now that COVID restrictions, thank God, are starting to be lifted, create a t shirt, maybe a hat, and walk around in the public. Go to community events with your t shirt on, and it's a walking billboard. When you have a sale with a client, when you complete a sale with a client, send them a t-shirt. I guarantee you they'll wear it. Send them a t-shirt. Send the guys a hat, because a lot of times the guys like the hats better. Send them a hat and let them be walking advertisement for you. Next thing we're going to talk about, and I really can spend, I can spend a day talking about building a professional website, because it's just so much to it. But it might seem obvious, but having a professional website for your business is a must now. It's not even a non-negotiable. If you're a business owner, you got to have a website. And it doesn't have to be intimidating. It doesn't have to be expensive. And there are plenty companies out there that will help you build your website. And you don't have to do everything all at once. You can build it slowly if you want to, because as we know, a lot of us are just getting started, and having the the capital to be able to spend right away might not be easy. So build it up slowly, and that's okay too. But you have a goal, you have a dream. Go for that dream. Now, here's a tip: be sure that your site is optimized for mobile access. Now, 80% of the internet users out there, they use smartphones and mobile devices. And really, mobile devices far outseed desktop computers now. People just don't use desktop computers. They're using their mobile phones for everything. 51% compared to 42% are using their mobile phones. So make sure that your website is designed for that. Otherwise, you're creating a roadblock for yourself. And of course, you want to be sure that all of your platforms, your Facebook page that you create, the Instagram page, the Twitter, Google listings, all of those things have a way to direct people, a hyperlink that's going to direct people back to that web page. And once you get them on that web page, you should always have clearly, probably toward the top of that page, I would recommend um, get a quote, so that they can immediately contact you. And once they click on that, they can fill in their information so that you can know to call them. There's so many agents out there that are doing wonders with building their business just by doing this one thing. So it's a great opportunity to definitely build your brand. The next thing I'm going to say is, and we're almost done, guys, spell out everything you sell. Now, that's another one of those things that seem like, that's a given. I'm doing that. But I'm going to tell you, one of the reasons clients don't buy more lines of insurance and refer your agency more is because they don't know what the heck you sell. I know it seems obvious, but if you don't make sure that it's crystal clear to your clients that you don't sell just the one product that they bought from you, you're creating, once again, a roadblock. So one place that you can start while creating your brand for your web page, because all of this is going to be on your web page too, is create an easy one pager that shows everything you sell, and review that sheet during your new customer onboarding process. So make sure that you are, when you're doing your onboarding, you're letting them know all, and you're checking off, making sure that everything that you sell, they are aware of. Sometimes, I must admit, I like to package sell up front. So in my spiel, I talk about the different packages right up front. I like to sell it right up front. But if you're one of those people, and it's nothing wrong with it, it's one way or another way, it's okay. But if you want to at the end during the onboarding process, you can do it then. But just make sure your clients know what you sell, because if they don't, you're not, like I said, you're setting yourself up for failure. Now, when we talk about web pages, I want to make sure that you guys are also considering, and you can start gathering these now, personal testimonies from your customer. Get those personal testimonies, because those testimonies are what you're going to put on your web page. So, once again, building your brand is about building who you are, your personality, how people see you. All those things are very important. And what better way to get that information than to do that by looking at, by getting personal testimonies? And then finally, find out how others see you. Your brand is how you promote yourself and your business. It speaks to your personality, your values, your expertise. It speaks to your experience. So find out how others see you. So, what I would suggest you do is ask trusted colleagues, ask family members, friends. You can even ask clients that you feel comfortable asking this question to give you, say 4 or 5 objectives that would best describe who you are or how they see you. This is going to help you when you're building your promise statement and your position, because now you're hearing firsthand how other people see you. Ask them, what are you good at? What are your strengths? How have you been able to help them? Those are all things that are very good questions to ask to find out how other people see you. This is also helpful when you're creating buzzwords, like I said, in your advertisements, in your elevator pitch. Everyone should have an elevator pitch that can describe what they do in less than, I would say, 3 minutes at the most. So it should be quick and clear and crisp. If you do this research ahead of time, people are going to help you come up with all those things. So that does it for building your brand. I hope you guys found this information helpful, and I hope you guys start working today on building that strong brand. As you can see, it's steps. It's not something you can do overnight. There are steps you have to take in order to get there. So I hope you enjoyed this. As always, I appreciate you guys being with me today. And if you have any questions whatsoever, you can definitely reach us at training at ahcpsales.com, or you can call the number on the screen. But thank you guys very much for joining me today, and I hope you guys are doing well. So God bless, and see you next time.